Well, let's back up to verse 21. I missed that one. He, speaking of God, changes the times and the seasons. Keep that in mind because we're going to come back to it. God changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. He reveals the deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. Who changes times and seasons? That's a question. God does. Who sets up kings? Who sits them down? God does. So is it safe to say God's in charge? God's in charge. These times and seasons that we're talking about, we're not just talking about winter, spring, summer, and fall. We're not just talking about those seasons. We're talking about the seasons of change that actually move history. God changes them because he's moving according to his divine plan and purpose. So he'll set up a king to get done what he needs to get done to fulfill his plan and purpose. Then when he's done with them, he's going to sit them down. That's why Paul could say, pray for those who are rulers over you in the political realm. Because they're only there to do God's bidding, because typically God is using them to change times and seasons. That's why our politics right now are in a shamble. It just ain't that they don't know what they're doing. Well, they really don't. But it's not just that they don't know what they're doing. God is up to something. Yeah. See, when we understand, and this is why I wanted to deal with Nebuchadnezzar's dream, because it's gonna lead us into some stuff, right? It's gonna lead us into some stuff. But you're absolutely right. So Daniel is still blessing God. He said, I thank you and I praise you, O God of my fathers, who has given me wisdom and might, and you've made known unto me now what we desired of you, because you have now made known unto us the king's matter. So Daniel went to Arioch, who the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. Daniel goes to the very person who was commissioned to kill him. And he went in and he said, look, don't destroy the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will show unto the king the interpretation. Now, mind you, this is not arrogance. This is confidence. Don't kill him. Bring me in. I'll tell the king. I'll let the king know what's up. So Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste and said unto him, look, I found a man of the captives of Judah. Let me read that again. I found a man of the captains of Judah. So the person who's going to give the king the understanding is actually a captive from another people. Let me say it again. It's going to hit somebody. The very person God is going to use to speak to this world ruler about what's going on is actually a captive from another people. Some people don't know why their fathers went into captivity. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to let that one stay right there. Right there. See, I can't. Judah went into captivity in Babylon. They were captives. They were slaves. But they went into captivity for a divine purpose that we're going to see here in a minute. So Daniel could have moped and moaned and groaned, but he stayed faithful to the ways of his father. That's Daniel chapter 1. And God gave him favor. Because when a man's ways please God, he'll make even his enemies. Oh, let me keep going. Let me keep going. So he says this. This man, I found a man among the captives of Judah that is going to make known to you the interpretation. So the king answered, said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, are you able to make known unto me the dream that I've seen and the interpretation? So Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, well, the secret which the king has demanded, can't the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show the king? Now he's going to get feisty. You mean all of these religious soothsayers and these folk who've been making their living and these folk who have gotten rich in your court, can none of them give you the answer? He said, there's a God in heaven that reveals secrets and makes known to the king what's going to be, catch the next phrase, in the latter days. What is going to be the subject of this dream? That's a question. What's going to be the subject? The latter days. That is, king, these are things that are going to occur past your time. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me because of any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sake that shall make known the interpretation to the king, that you may know the thoughts of your heart. But you, king, now he's going to unpack it. Y'all need to pay attention. You saw a great image. Now, let me question. Where is this happening at? Where's this setting? Nebuchadnezzar is the king of what? Babylon. This is taking place where? In Babylon. In the palace in Babylon. Okay. Now, this great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before the king, and the form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet were part iron and part clay. Now you saw till a stone was cut out without hands that smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together and became like chaff of the summer threshing floor, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. What a dream. What a dream. Now, that's the dream. Now, we're going to tell you the interpretation. Y'all ready? Y'all want the interpretation? Because Daniel's dream is relevant. Because what is it about? The latter days. Nebuchadnezzar, you're the king in Babylon. But this dream, God's showing you what's going to happen in the latter days. Daniel is going to give Nebuchadnezzar a lesson in world history based off of the dream that Daniel got. All right, here we go. You, O king, are King of Kings. For the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven has he given into your hand, and has made you ruler over them. Right? Okay. You, Nebuchadnezzar, are this head of gold. What empire or empires existed at this time? World empires. Does anybody know? Babylon. Doesn't mean there weren't other nations. There just weren't any world empires. This was it. Babylon was the splendor of the known world. Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar was raised up by who? God. God did. It said right here, you, O king, you're King of Kings. The God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. So Nebuchadnezzar was in the position he was because that's where God put him. But after you, now he's getting ready to lay some stuff out. But after you, there's going to be another kingdom that is inferior to you, and then another third kingdom of brass, which will bear rule over all the earth, and a fourth kingdom will be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaks in pieces and subdue all things, and as iron that breaks all these shall it break in pieces. And whereas you saw the feet and the toes were part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom's going to be divided, but there's going to be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay, and the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom is going to be partly strong, partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they're going to mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they're not going to cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which will never be destroyed, and the kingdom will not be left to other people, but it's going to break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it is going to stand forever. For as much as you saw that the stone that the builders rejected, for as much as you saw the stone was cut out of a mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, the gold, the great God has made known to the king what's going to come to pass hereafter. From this time forward, Nebuchadnezzar, God has just shown you what's going to happen hereafter up through the latter days. You have just seen in your dream, Daniel, the succession of kingdoms that will rise in the earth, that will culminate in the final kingdom, which will be the kingdom of God. This is world history. Who was it revealed to? It was revealed to Daniel. How? Through a dream given to a pagan king. So why was Judah partly in captivity in Babylon? So this prophecy could be revealed and laid out for us. So real quick, it's getting late. Let's talk about this statue a little further. If Nebuchadnezzar is the head of gold, but there's going to be another kingdom that rises after him, what kingdom arose after Babylon that we read about with Belshazzar's feast? When Belshazzar lost Babylon, what kingdom arose? The Medo-Persian Empire. Now, someone may be saying, well, how do you know? I'm glad you asked. Flip over to Daniel chapter 5. Show y'all how accurate biblical prophecy is. Daniel 5, that's Belshazzar's feast. You know, meeny, tekel, upharsin. Remember the handwriting on the wall? That was Belshazzar? All right. He's still king of Babylon. Verse 29. Then commanded Belshazzar. Well, let's back up. Meeny, tekel, upharsin, the handwriting on the wall. Verse 26. This is the interpretation of the thing. You notice how God just keeps dealing with Daniel, giving Daniel revelation to interpret stuff that's happening in the political realm? That's a real prophet. This ain't a verily, God gonna give you $1 million prophet. No, this ain't that. He said, this is what was written, verse 25. Meeny, tekel, upharsin. Here's the interpretation. Meeny, God's numbered your kingdom. Finished it. Tekel, you're weighed in the balances. You're found wanting. 28, your kingdom's divided. It's given to the Medes and the Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a gold chain around his neck, made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And in that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Mede took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. So what kingdom arose after Babylon? Medo-Persian Empire. That's recorded in the Bible. That's literally recorded in the Bible. That's back to chapter 2. Because I see some looks. Back to chapter 2. That is the breast. Where's that at? What verse is that? Part iron, part clay after you. But the dream, the iron and clay, secret reveal. Images had fine gold. His breast and his arms were of silver. Breast and his arms. That's the Medo-Persian Empire. Y'all ever hear of the Persian Empire? Because the Persian Empire literally stood higher than the Medes did. So we know about Persia. We know about the Persian Empire. We know about Azariah. We know about the book of Ruth. We know about Haman and all of that. That was Persia. Because in the latter prophecy, it actually tells us that the bear was raised up on one side was hard. Same kingdoms, different prophecy. Let me keep going. So the Medo-Persian Empire, and this is probably where we'll stop, but the Medo-Persian Empire arose after Babylon. But then he says, Now, there's going to be an inferior kingdom that's going to arise, and then another. Verse 39. What kingdom arose after Medo Persia? What's the next world empire? Greece. Alexander the Great. You know, Alexander the Great is prophesied about in the Bible? We're going to look at it. Just like Nebuchadnezzar represents that head of gold with Babylon, Alexander the Great, head of Greece, is also prophesied about in the scriptures. What empire arose after Greece? Rome. How many successive world empires were talked about in this prophecy? World empires. 4. What were they? Okay. And we know that historically, that those are the 4 world empires, right? At the time Daniel revealed this to Nebuchadnezzar, how many of those empires were in existence? 1. Does biblical prophecy speak to history? Yes. Can you validate biblical prophecy with history? Yes. We just did. True biblical prophecy can be validated historically. It's not a guessing game. Question. After the 4th kingdom, what happens? In verse 40. So the 4th kingdom will be strong as iron. For as much as iron breaks in pieces and subdues all things, and as iron that breaks all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas you saw the feet and the toes, part potter's clay, part iron, the kingdom. What kingdom is he talking about? Rome is going to be divided, but there will be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet. How many toes do you have on your feet? You got 5 toes on your feet? Or do you have 5 toes on each foot? 5 toes on each foot. But you got 2 foots, which make them feet, right? Which gives you 10 toes. All right, that's the bottom of the image, is 10 toes. But we know the kingdom, the legs were broken in pieces, and they became 10 toes. It's not a world empire, but they're kingdoms, right? Did I just confuse y'all? The 4th kingdom is Rome. That's the iron legs. But it's broken. But its toes are part iron and part clay. When Rome fell, has there ever been another world empire after Rome? Okay, let me back up and ask the question again. After Rome fell, has there been another world empire, such as Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, and Rome? No. What came out of Rome, though? Rome was divided into kingdoms. How many? 10. That's the Huns, the y'all know the list. The Franks, the Suave, all of them folk. They all came out of the fallen Roman Empire. Their kingdoms. Now we'll get to Papal Rome, but we're talking actual political kingdoms at this point. What's the next world kingdom that will arise? Okay, I'm going to ask the question again. What's the next world kingdom based on this prophecy that will arise? Which says what? What's the next kingdom? The kingdom of God.